What's up, Pure Man? Mark Supreme here. Rap Politics, Pure Journal Star. You already know how we rocking. And appreciate y'all tuning in for the show. Hey, wait, hold on. Y'all know how to do it. Hold on. Let me get my, you know what I'm saying? You know, we ain't formal over here. Let me get my situated. All right, boom. Bam, we here. Hey, appreciate y'all tuning in for real. You already know how we get down, man. The dopest interviews, the dopest folks, the hottest stuff going on in the city and outside of the city and the people from the city. And we got somebody cold today. I already told you we was finna do it, man. We had to circle the block. Facebook did this in last time, man. It wasn't my fault. So we're gonna get in today with none other than the great David Booth. So stay tuned for that. And of course, you already know we brought to you by Sherman's, where they carry the best in furniture, mattresses, and appliances, and they hiring. Sherman's one of the few places left in town that doesn't care about your education. They just promote people that work hard, have a good attitude, follow their core values. Hey, ask Twan, you think I'm playing, man? Product of the project and product of Sherman's. Look, shermanscareers.com. Check out the openings, and you can apply online and see what's good. Want to do a quick shout out to Tri-County Urban League, man. I heard they doing a whole watch party for Rap Politics on today, man. So appreciate y'all tuning in as well. So you already know, like I said, we got to get into David Booth and everything that he's got going on, everything going on in the NBA. But first, I ain't even want to talk about it, man. Y'all probably heard about it. Richwood Secretary Courtney Lewis. It's all in the newspaper. PJ Star, you know what I'm saying? WEK, NBD, all of them, you know what I'm saying? They all talk about it. Everybody know about it. The video already went viral. So the secretary at Richwood's High School, one of the secretaries at Richwood's High School, has been suspended. I don't know for how long. I don't know if it was indefinitely. I don't know if it's a super long period of time or whatever, for using a racial slur on camera. I don't know when this happened. I don't know if anybody knows when this happened, but it got out and it's been circulating. It went mini viral in the P, and it circled all the way back to the Pure Public Schools Administration, and she's been suspended. Now look, I've been going live for a while, before the Journal Star stuff, you know what I mean? Before the pandemic, y'all already know how I'm rocking. The N-word, y'all already know how I'm rocking, right? And so the unfortunate part about this is that, you know, beyond me, beyond us, beyond adults, you got kids. Kids are on social media. Kids know what's going on. And the thing is, you got these kids going to this school, and they're going to run into these teachers that may or may not feel some type of way about them. We already got enough issues going on, not necessarily in Pure Public Schools, but just in schools in general, given the pandemic, the e-learning. Is it working? Is it not working? It's just, you know, everything funny right now. Everybody's tense, you know what I mean? But just in general, I'm not here to scold nobody on Rap Politics. But at the end of the day, we got to think about the kids. And at the end of the day, too, you only as good as your last screenshot or your last video. Now, everybody got something in their phone that they don't want to get out. Let's just be honest. Everybody got something in their phone that they do not need to get out, because you might be suspended too. But at the end of the day, too, though, like I say, man, this is one of them situations where I obviously don't like it. Parents have been calling, I think, for some type of firing and resignation. I ain't got no place in that, because I'm not the president of Pure Public Schools. That's Greg Wilson. But when you got students, especially black students, that are going to school already feeling unnerved to a degree, because you're at a place that can make you feel like you don't belong, because let's be honest, Richwood ain't an HBCU. And then you walk up in there and you got a secretary that has been seen saying racial slurs, rather be, you know, to be negative or to just make a mockery out of a subculture here Pure. Is very unfortunate. We're going to be following this story, but man, y'all know it is one of those things, man. You can get some more information on this at pjstar.com, but it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. But I think this is a reminder for us all, and the era of the screenshot, you know, the era of censorship and things like that. Whether you got a job or you trying to be up on the up and up, or you're a public figure, whatever, you can't just go around doing and saying whatever you want to on camera, because a lot of times people think they're going to get off, and then they circle right around back. And the crazy part is, you got people like on Twitter and Facebook, they find stuff, especially last year during the all that uprising and stuff like that. Y'all remember last year, somebody say something reckless on Facebook, like last year during the pandemic, but you had all the riots and the George Floyd situation. Somebody say something reckless on Facebook. What they say on Facebook? They'll find your name, they'll find your face picture, and then they find out where you work. They throw that on the book, or on Twitter they say, "Hey, Facebook, do your job," and then it's a rent out. So I think this is a reminder for everybody in this situation, out of this situation, black, white, or otherwise. Hey, and beyond that, whoever let that video get out, I'd be heated. Like, bro, we was kicking it. We was in the cut. What is you doing? But at the end of the day, it needed to get out because it could probably prevent something else going on, and that had an adverse effect on some students at Richwood. So thoughts and prayers go out to Richwood, because I don't know what it feels like to be a student there that might feel like they got treated a certain type of way just because, but we'll be following this story and some more, man. So pjstar.com, make sure y'all subscribe to that. And that's what's going on that tip. Now, as I said before, we were supposed to do this a long time ago. Not a long time, it was like 2 weeks ago. Ran into him at Jahan Gordon's birthday party, and I was like, man, dog, you doing your thing, dog. We got to have you on RapPolitics. And, he big man. He like, NBA and stuff like that. I thought he was going to be like, he was like, cool, what's good? So I was like, all right, bet, man. So look, he's a pure Emmanuel alum. Went on to hoop at DePaul University, where he's the second highest all-time score of all time in school history. Second all-time school history at DePaul. Also inducted to the DePaul Hall of Fame. He was also inducted to the Peoria, Greater Peoria Sports Hall of Fame. He was at one time named Sports Illustrated National Player of the Week. Now he's the current vice president of basketball operations for the NBA. Peoria got some dogs, man. Look, hey, don't let nobody tell you nothing about the P. Peoria got some dogs, for real, for real. So tap your likes, tap your love button, throw something in the comments, and give it up for the homie and for the VP of basketball operations for the National Basketball Association, man, David Booth. David Booth, what's good?
What's up, my man? We finally got this going, so I'm happy to be on, man. I want to say this too, man. I applaud you for all that you've been doing. I've watched a couple of your shows, and they're very entertaining and educational. And so, kudos to you, man. And keep doing your thing. Keep moving forward.
Trying to add to the city, man. Trying to add to the city. I appreciate it. Now, look, that was a long intro. I don't know if you forgot any of that stuff or what, but as I was reading, I was going through it. It's like, man, he did a lot. You ain't never just look yourself up on Wikipedia. Just to see what come up, like, it still say NBA. Yup, I did that.
I get humbled, man. My kids keep me humble, man. They don't care about none of that. So, but I appreciate it.
That's fact. Hey, I hear about that from celebs. Like, man, look, I'm this, I'm that. We got millions, but my kids don't care. So, man, it's great to have you on. It's great to have you on. Now, I want to get straight to one of the topics of conversations for the NBA and really for news right now in general. Regular season began 2 days ago, so we're in the middle of not in the middle, but we're at the start of the regular season for the NBA. Two biggest topics right now: Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving. Now, of course, Ben Simmons' situation is more of a team situation. It's what's going on in Philly. But when it comes to Kyrie, he's on a team that is expected to go all the way, if not win the entire thing. But now he's not playing because of the vaccine mandate going on in New York, and I believe it's also in LA and the Bay as well too. These are cities. But from the NBA perspective, where are y'all at from a organization standpoint when it comes to this vaccine and the Kyrie and the Brooklyns and the LAs and things like that?
No, that's a good question. I think there's a misconception that people in the public eye think that the NBA is holding Kyrie out. We have nothing to do with what's going on in the city of New York. That's a state and local authorities of New York that's implemented that stance and that's keeping him, at home during games in his homeland of New York. So that has nothing to do with us. So we're sitting back like everybody else and seeing how that plays out. But that has nothing to do with us. Our hands are not in that. Our fingerprints, we're not in that whole situation. But like I said, that's the state of New York dealing with Brooklyn Nets. So that's where that is.
As you sit back and you're in the front office for the NBA, and so you guys have to survey, even though it's not an NBA issue, you kind of got to just keep checks and balances of what's going on from a city government standpoint and a federal government standpoint, and different mandates and states as well too, that, different things are getting added to the list of people that need to get vaccinated. Just from your personal standpoint, where do you see this going in the coming months as we go through the NBA season, with different cities coming up and saying you need a vaccine, and other cities stepping back, and other organizations sometimes stepping back and saying, you know what? And I forgot who announced it. It was a fire department, something. They went so hard on the vaccine, they said, man, ain't nobody do it. No, it was Southwest. Southwest was mandating the vaccine for its employees, and then they said, you know what, ain't nobody paying attention to it. They're not worried about it anymore. What, from your standpoint, for the season, what do you predict might happen?
Well, first you got to understand, our stance is, our hope is that every player is vaccinated, but of course everybody has to make their own decisions on what they want to do. But I think another misrepresentation is 96% of NBA players are vaccinated. Maybe 12 to 15 players are not vaccinated, but like, what you're talking about right now, the higher profile players that aren't vaccinated are getting a lot of media time. But right now, the NBA is in a good place with vaccinated players. Like I said, 96% of them are vaccinated, and that still may go up. So it's not really a big concern. I hear you on the different states that may also follow suit with New York, and you talked about LA and San Francisco. That could happen. My personal opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if it did happen. But we're in a good place right now at the NBA with 96% of our players vaccinated.
Cool. I want to move on to something else that's changing up this year. And you guys started to make some headway on this several years back. But flopping has been something that people have complained about from a fan standpoint, from a defensive standpoint. If you holding somebody, a couple particular plays, like, bro, come on, bro. Like, come on. Right. And so according to Athletic, for the 2021 and 22 season, the NBA has implemented rule changes to limit attempts to draw fouls on non-basketball moves.
Mm-hmm.
Were you in the room for that? And if so, what was the thought process in making those changes?
I was in the room. We have a solid group in the NBA, and they hired myself, Malik Rose, to give our input and our thoughts on topics such as on-court play and behavior. And, what the rule basically is, they want to take out abnormal moves and abnormal shots from an offensive player. Basically, if a defensive player gets pump faked in the air and you got a offensive player jumping into them, we want to take those type of moves out and make it the game more pure, because what we ended up seeing was players were trying to draw fouls versus trying to make shots. And it got a little ridiculous from the fan standpoint and from our standpoint. So we just wanted to clean it up. So that is one of the things that we've highlighted this year, is to take out the abnormal shot selections from offensive players when trying to score. Also, the wraps, players wrapping other players' arms when they're trying to score, but just trying to make the game more pure and bringing it back to where we know it needs to be.
Is there any thought on it? And I watch this myself when I see certain games. Has there been any conversation about fouls? Sometimes it seems like, and you've been playing a long time, and when you watch games from before, you could be up for a layup, be in the air, somebody can knock you out of air, and they still not consider a flagrant. But now if you just tap somebody's shoes the wrong way, or just brush up against them, now it's flagrant one. Like, is there any talk about figuring out how? Because a lot of people have complained about the game getting soft as well too when it comes to fouls and things like that. Has there been any conversation about that at all?
No, not really with flagrant fouls. Flagrant fouls are somewhat easy for us to interpret. If a player is not making a basketball play on the ball, if a player is hitting a player where it can cause injury or harm, those rules have still been in place. They're in place today, and they've been in place for years now. We don't have any. We haven't had any issues with calls that are flagrant ones or flagrant twos. But I hear your point about the game right now. It's not as physical as it was when I was coming up with the Bulls and the Pistons, the bad boys. But the rules have changed. But you got to think about this. The game has changed. The players have changed. We have players now shooting a plethora of threes every game. We have players that have a different skill set, and they're getting better. Our players are getting better every year. And so that's what we're trying to keep. And we're trying to have that go forward for entertainment purposes for our fans and just make the game just pure in a whole overhearted sense.
Do you think, and you brought up the players, do you think it's more so the players that have come into the game and because they're so offensive driven and now the offense in the NBA right now is just fire. It's like firepower, high powered offense. Does that have anything to do with like some of the fouls we try to keep that stuff going as opposed to, you know?
Well, you want it to be a balance. You want it to be balanced where the defense has a chance to stop the player. Of course, you don't want the offense just having full reign and it just be tilted towards the offense. But that's why this rule got implemented, where abnormal shooting from an offensive player, they would be penalized. Now it would be a no call, or if it's an overt or a situation where a player is making a move and it's exaggerated, that's when it'll be an offensive foul. So we are bringing and calibrating it back to the defensive side of the ball as well, just so it can be an even playing field. And that's our goal.
So July 2020, in the dead heat of the pandemic, you were named Vice President of Basketball Operations. And I was kind of late on it because I knew you was down at the Pelicans. And I was like, man, you still at Pelicans? Oh, no, man, VP NBA. Oh, my bad. My bad. What does that mean for you, though? Basketball Operations, what is that?
So basically, my role is to hire Malik Rose and myself to be basically liaisons between the league office and the NBA teams. The NBA really didn't have a lot of a situation where they can have a person that had basketball playing experience and also working in the front office experience to be able to talk to different teams with already organically made relationships. I've worked on the NBA team side for 13 years. So it's kind of a perfect fit for me to go to the league side and be a liaison for the NBA for different initiatives that they may try to implement, just to get information from teams, asking them what their thoughts are. Do they have any thoughts on solutions or anything that they want to bring to the league? But they also have me working also with referee operations. So that's a big part of my job as well, working with referee operations and bringing the teams up to date on what's going on in referee operations. I never knew how many educational and accountability processes there were in referee operations working on the team side. We thought we would call the league, complain, it went in one ear and out the other. But me sitting in on all the referee operations phone calls, their preseason meetings, their developmental meetings, their grassroots meetings, I was so surprised of how many different accountability and educational processes that were in place. So one of my main jobs is to share that with teams and let them know, hey, this is what the referee operations department is doing, and kind of getting them up to speed daily when I go to games, and just keeping them informed, and also getting information from teams that I can bring back to the referees that may help us better our product on the referee operations side.
That is deep. And so when it comes to you being VP well, first of all, I want to take a step back because you were a player, then the Pelicans, now the NBA. What is this movement for your career? It's
good. So I played 14 years. I ended up working with the Memphis Grizzlies for 4 years as a scout. I coached at DePaul for a year and a half, and then I ended up getting an opportunity to come on with the Pelicans, which at that time were the New Orleans Hornets. Got on with the Pelicans, scouted with the Pelicans for maybe 4 years or 5 years. Then I became director of scouting, so I was over the scouting department with the New Orleans Pelicans. Then I got elevated to director of player personnel. Then the opportunity came where the league reached out and asked for permission to speak to me with the Pelicans, and I ended up taking the job with the NBA here in New York. So that's kind of been the process, and it's been great for me. I enjoy being in the league office. I don't have to worry about wins and losses. I go to games and I cheer for people now, not teams. I don't have to worry about if you don't win 3 years in a row or 4 years in a row making the playoffs, you might get let go, because when they let someone go, they let everybody go. And so me being on the league office side, I have a chance to better the game from a position of sitting at the table where changes are being made and my voice can be heard. And so I really do enjoy where I'm at right now for this stage of my career.
After you were done playing overseas, was going the executive route in basketball, was that always the next step for you?
You know, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. It was really strange because, you know, and I talk to players now about this. I retired from playing, and now I wanted to stay in basketball, but I looked at my resume. I didn't have anything on my resume other than he won a championship here or he led the league in scoring here. I didn't have a resume that could fit going into the team side or the league office side. And so I ended up reaching out to Tony Weisinger at ICC because I needed to put something on my resume that I did something outside of playing. And so I coached the ICC for maybe about 4 months. And Jerry West called me, and he was president of basketball operations with the Memphis Grizzlies, and presented me with a job at scouting with the Memphis Grizzlies. And that's kind of how my career took off. And it's been a blessing ever since. And so I've been able to say I feel like I really never worked a day in my life, because they always say if you're doing something you love, you never feel like you're working. And so I've been playing basketball since I was 6th grade at Christ Lutheran Grade School up until today. Up until today. And so I feel like I never work a job in my life. Last night I was at the New York Knicks Boston Celtics season opener, and I was sitting there in the garden, 4 rows up from the floor. Spike Lee's right there. You got Iggy Azalea's right there. You got you got these different celebrities there. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I'm getting paid to go watch this game. And if I wasn't working in the NBA, I would have paid my own money to go see that game. And so I feel really blessed and fortunate that I'm able to do something that I like doing, I love doing, and I don't feel like I go to work at all. I don't feel like I've worked ever, because I've been in the game of basketball my whole life.
Talk about the importance to have minorities work in your position. From your perspective, especially in these type of organizations and sports leagues.
It's really important, and that's one thing the NBA has been doing a good job of. I think you saw this past season, it was I think 8 to 9 coaching vacancies that were out there, and 8 coaches that got hired were minorities. And so, we're headed in the right direction. Are we where we need to be? No. But are we headed in the right direction? I think we are headed in the right direction, but I don't think we're there yet.
Cool. Well, I push back on cool, but the unique thing about the NBA is that nowadays, the way the game has changed, each player is now their own brand. Like before, you go back 20, 30 years, and it's almost like what they talked about in The Last Dance with Krause. He was like, it's executives, it's the front office. We make this whole thing. We make it move. It's us. And then now, starting with Jordan and a couple, you had Dr. J and things like that, but Jordan was really the initial player to really start their own type of thing within the league. And now you see everybody got a shoe deal. Everybody got a commercial. I mean, Draymond Green got a commercial with talking about, I think it was a Invisalign or something like that, talking about getting braces and stuff like that. In your view, is this good or bad for the NBA now that people have their own brand? Because some people, they look at it and say, now things are kind of getting out of hand and teams can't function the way they want to function.
Well, I don't think it's a question of if it's good or bad. I think it's a question of where we are today in society. I mean, you think about, I'm 51 years old, and, when I was coming up in college, we didn't have computers. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have Instagram. We didn't have cell phones. We had beepers. We had a beeper, and if somebody beeped you 911, that means go to a payphone, hurry up and call them. So we didn't have all of that, all of the social media outlets that are available today. So when you have all these social media outlets that are available, of course, branding now comes along with that. So I don't think it's good or bad. I just think that's where we are today in society, and these players are just keeping up with the times, and that's the basic point of where we are, and I don't have a problem with it.
In addition to that, from a league standpoint, the NBA is different because, I mean, you go back against the George Floyd situation. NFL was, this is how we're presenting ourselves, and the players got to present themselves too. And it was a big deal with Jerry Jones down in Dallas. He said, my players aren't going to do, you know what I mean? MLB, they've always been strict in just how they go about doing things in general. Not too much celebration when you got that home run. You better not throw that bat a certain way. NBA has been more so on the surface, at least for the viewers. NBA has been more lax than anybody else, and it comes across like NBA players have a little bit more voice. They can express themselves differently. And they really didn't get that hard talking to, I guess, from a league standpoint. The players didn't. Is this intentional? Is this cultivated for the NBA to be the cool league to give players a little bit more freedom of expression?
Well, I think, first of all, I like to think the NBA is one of the leaders in the world of the social justice movement. And I happen to be in the bubble when a lot of this took place, when Milwaukee decided not to play. The NBA backed the Milwaukee Bucks 100%. We, as you saw, I don't know if you watched or not, but we had our players wearing jerseys to whatever they wanted to put on the back of their jerseys that they felt expressed them. And so we've always been advocating for freedom of speech, wanting players to voice their thoughts and their opinions. We've never tried to muzzle or put someone in the corner for saying this or that. But we've always been at the forefront of social justice and in the forefront for change. And so we applaud our players for speaking out and being leaders in their different platforms in their communities. So we've always been an advocate for that. And I just see that continually growing with our players.
And not to take you out of the NBA and necessarily speak on what's going on in NFL and MLB, but I guess like not necessarily how is that cultivated, because you already said you guys are already doing that, but what do you think is the trepidation, I guess you could say, for other leagues to make sure that they're not as engaged socially as the NBA allows its players to be? Is there you think there's a fear of like losing control of the reins or what?
I would be guessing, and I don't want to do that on, what Major League Baseball or the NFL or NHL, what they're doing. I am in the meetings and I am in the rooms with the decision makers with the NBA. So that's really all I can speak on. I don't know where they are or what their thought processes are, behind closed doors. I have no idea. But I just think, what we're trying to do is be a voice, use our platform, and try to promote change in this, not just in this United States, but in the whole world.
Another thing that's been popular on social media, I think this circles around I think I see about every June, maybe every May or something like that on Facebook. And they put up this graphic of LeBron James, and who else did they put on? Not Candace Parker. I forget who else they put up there. But it's like, they show how much LeBron is getting, and they show how much a star on the WNBA level is getting. And they just say, this is absurd, this is crazy, this is intentional, all this other stuff with regards to the pay gap. And obviously there's a pay gap going on between men and women in the United States of America in general. There's no refuting that. But from a sports standpoint, what say you when it comes to that graphic and people just suggesting that there is inequality with viewership, pay, and everything like that between the NBA and its WNBA counterpart?
Yeah, I've heard that, and I really feel for our WNBA players. And I watched the finals. And it was good to see Candace Parker win her championship going home in Chicago. But the revenue comes in from many different ways, and one of the main revenue PowerPoints that we get our finances from is from television viewership and television contracts around the world. And so I think when that gets to the WNBA, then you'll see the finances raised to a different level. And I think that's kind of where I personally see the difference. It's in the viewership and it's in the television contracts that the NBA has versus what the WNBA has right now. But I'll tell you this, just watching those WNBA finals, they're headed in the right direction because, they sold out the Wintrust Arena. Chicago was jumping. And I can just see next year that viewership will be up even more with the WNBA because they do have an exciting brand of basketball, and it is fun to watch, and I've been entertained watching them throughout this whole year. So they're headed in the right direction, and they have star power with Brittany Griner and also Candace Parker and Diana Taurasi, and just to name a few. But they're headed in the right direction. They got great leadership within the WNBA, and I just can't wait to see what the future holds for them.
Is there anything that can be done from a viewership standpoint or from a basketball fanatic standpoint to help bolster what the WNBA has going on?
Yeah, just watch. You got to watch. The more you watch, the more accessibility the sponsors have as far as tapping the WNBA and wanting to be on board. So just viewership is the main thing. With anything, any sport, viewership is the number one driving tool that promotes what that organization is going to be making as far as able to pay players and just what it's about overall.
I interviewed Sean Livingston a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things that we talked about, one of the things that we always talk about actually whenever we sit down is trying to figure out how to cultivate the same basketball culture in Peoria that we all shared growing up. I mean, I know there's a year's difference between you and I, but I've got to experience and live that same thing. And you come back to Peoria often and you see how it is. From your standpoint, what is the state of basketball and interest in general when you come through Peoria?
Well, Mark, you gotta really, we have to really look at the timeline. Okay, so I grew up in Peoria, went to Manual from '84 to '88. As I said before, we didn't have the same distractions that these kids have today. We didn't have, we couldn't go home and play a video game. There was no video game. The first video game that came out was Atari, and that was like when I was, that was like later on. But we never had the video game distractions. We never had the cell phone distractions. We never had the Instagram distractions. We never had the TikTok distractions. We never had those distractions. And I was just joking with someone the other day, when my mom or dad grounded me and told me I had to stay in my room, I almost went crazy. Now, if you tell a kid to go outside, they can't stand going outside. They rather stay in their room. And so it's just a different distraction point that we had back then that they have today. They can sit in their room and entertain themselves without ever leaving. And so we went outside to play. I played basketball all day long because we had 3 channels on cable: ABC, NBC, CBS. Actually, we had 4. We had PBS also. So we had 4 channels, and we didn't have any video games. So what were you doing in the house? So we went outside and played. So when I drive around Peoria, I don't see any kids outside playing, but I understand they have a different distraction point than what we had when I was growing up. So I think it's unfair to put them in the same boat and say, how come they're not doing this like we were doing back then? It's a different time. And these kids, I feel for them because they know way more than we did back then. Because you get on the computer, they got an eye to the world, and they see way more than we ever saw. We were shielded and contained within our house from our parents, and we didn't know anything other than what they told us. These kids can get online and Google anything they want. They can go to YouTube and see anything they want, and that's a distraction for them. So that's why you don't see, in my opinion, the kids out there playing ball like they used to or working on their game like they used to, because of this distraction point.
That's an interesting perspective. Like, I never thought about that, and I've never heard of it like that before. So when you think about that distraction point and you think about the heyday of Peoria basketball, in your view, is all that in the past, or is this just a cycle that Peoria kids and hoopers and athletic folks are going through?
Well, I think anything goes in cycles, but I think we have to figure out a different way to do things. I mean, I do believe that. I think we all got to evolve. I don't think you can just think a kid's going to go to the playground and start playing ball like they did in the 80s or 90s. I don't think that's the right thing to say. But I think we have to evolve, and these kids are evolving, so we can't stay the same and think we're going to get things back the way they were. But I don't think there's anything wrong with change. I don't think there's anything wrong with evolution. I don't think there's anything wrong with kids, doing what they're doing. But like I said, there's a way to do things. And I just hope that basketball gets back to where it was. I mean, back when I was coming out, we had, my high school team, we had 8 or 9 players that went Division I, and Central had 8 or 9 players went Division I. But when you work on your game, 18 hours a day, and then you just go home and go to bed, I mean, you're gonna be better than you were if you're working on your game 1 hour a day, or playing your game. This NBA 2K Live, these kids are playing this, and that's their workout. They think that they can go on the court and do what they see on the video game, but no, you have to really go out there and work on that. I was getting up at 6 a.m. every morning with Coach Van Syok before class even started to work on a jump hook and work on my rebound and work on my ball handling. So it just wasn't something that I just woke up one morning and played professional basketball for 14 years. It was a process that was in place. It was a process that was watered over the course of years for me to get to be to the point of, as you said, at DePaul University, playing at Manual and having a successful career.
Not to mention the second most points scored in DePaul history. You can't leave that out.
I gotta put an asterisk next to that, because
what is it?
The really, really good players left after 2 years, like Ron Strickland, Mark Aguirre. Mark Aguirre scored almost 3,000 points in 3 years. I stayed all 4 years, so I, by default, ended up being the second lead scorer at DePaul.
I ain't gonna say it's by default. I'm gonna say it's by Peoria. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm saying it's by Peoria. Peoria.
I'll stick with you on that then. I'll stick with it.
Come on, man. Come on. So what would you say before we head to lightning round? For the people that might not make it to the for the people that are playing basketball now, whether it be at the high school level or the college level, that might be viewing this and might not be able to play at the overseas level or might not hit to the NBA level. How does one find his or herself able to work in the capacity on the level that you are at?
Well, I think you got to identify what your passion is. Once again, I mean, and I said this to you before, and I wasn't just saying it as a cliche statement. I think once you find your passion and you follow it, doors will open up. So, in your point of working in the NBA front office, there are different. I didn't know this until I started working in the front office. There's different divisions in the NBA front office. You have marketing, you have ticket office sales, you have coaching, you have scouting, you have NBA executives from the general manager side, you have team presidents, you have HR, you have so many different areas that you can work on or work in at the NBA level. So first, I would say identify your passion. You could like the marketing part. If you like the marketing part, explore that avenue, and you could probably get in that way. But just saying, working in the NBA, there are many different branches to the NBA team side and also the league side.
Most def. Okay, so look, we're gonna move on to lightning round, and lightning round brought to you by Illinois American Water. People be asking me like, man, who got the best water? Because I'm a water drinker. You hear me? I'm a water drinker, but who got the best? It's Illinois American. Of course, it's Illinois American Water with the best water. So you said you watched a couple other shows. Have you seen the lightning round?
I've seen the lightning round. I have. If you want to give me a tutorial just in case I miss something, because it sounds like you're getting ready to hit me with something hard. I don't want to mess
we're
up.
Gonna get you right, man. Nothing hard. We're gonna get you right though. So look, rapid fire questions, rapid fire answers. The first answer that come to mind, whatever, or the first truthful answer that come to mind, boom, shoot it out. So what we're gonna do is put a minute 50 on the clock, and we're gonna run through as many as we can within that minute 50. Are you ready? Get the water. I'm gonna do it too. Man. All right. All right, bet. We ready?
Yep.
All right, boom. Favorite food in Peoria?
Vinings Pizza.
Favorite NFL team?
Bears.
Do you watch hockey?
No.
Top 3 NBA players all time. Top 3.
Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James.
Top 3 Peoria players all time.
Howard Nathan. Oh, that's a good one. I might get in trouble with this.
Hey.
I would say Howard Nathan, Frank Williams, Sean Livingston.
In the next 5 years, will Bradley University make it to the NCAA tournament?
Yes.
If you could buy any car, what would it be?
Ooh. GMC Denali. That's what I got now. I love that car. GMC Denali. Black on black.
Hey, no wrong with it. Cat Williams or Kevin Hart?
Cat Williams.
Space Jam 1 or 2?
1.
Favorite NBA city? Not NBA team. We ain't gonna do that to you. Favorite NBA city?
LA, where me and you were supposed to do this show a couple weeks ago when I was in LA sitting in the hotel. LA.
Hey, we gonna do it. We gonna do it in person. I'm gonna meet you in LA. We gonna do it in person. Rapper R&B.
R&B.
Donda or Certified Lover Boy? Let's see if you listen to either one of those.
I know Donda with Yeezy. I know a little bit about that. I would say Lover Boy.
Okay. Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
What TV show do you watch the most?
Oof. First 48.
You got 10 grand to spend in one store. Where you going?
Oof. Men's Warehouse.
Favorite movie?
Ooh, favorite movie. Car Wash. You don't know nothing about that.
I know what you're talking about. Martin or Fresh Prince?
Say it again.
Martin or Fresh Prince?
Fresh Prince.
All right, and I got to get these last 2 out. First of all, do grits take salt or sugar?
Sugar.
My man.
And butter.
Look, oh yeah, of course. They go together. Look, I told somebody this the other day. You, Derek, Daniel, like y'all be having the freshest. Like I ain't never seen y'all without a haircut. Y'all stay. Y'all keep it together. And I used to ask this question when I was doing a political interview. But do I need a haircut?
No, that's you, baby. That's your style. You got to roll with you. Hey, how you feel? That's the question. Let me ask you. How you feel right now?
Hey man, look.
How do you feel? How do you feel right now?
Tony Tiger, great. You know what I mean? We straight.
Hey, well, then you good. You don't need a haircut.
Hey, that's what it is. That's what it is. And lastly, what advice would you give to any athlete transitioning from the game to the next phase? I know for a lot of people, and Sean talked about this as well too, saying that retiring felt almost like a death. You got some players, like we mentioned before, high school might be the last game, college might be the last game. What would you say to them?
Well, I'll tell you what I told Sean, and I told Brian Randall. I told him the same thing. Before you retire, start planning your career 2 to 3 years before you retire. Have a game plan in place, and then you have to also start building before you shut the door in your career. That's the most important thing. That's the thing I told you I did not do, but I was blessed enough to still be able to get in and things still worked out. But I would say work on your craft, on what you want to do after the game while you're still playing, because you have a platform that people will listen to, and they'll hear you because you have that platform while you're still playing the game.
Most def, and my fault for lying. I do got to backtrack because I missed the audience question. Somebody Scott wants to know, do you think that the NBA logo will be up? That's from your lightning round. Do you think it will be updated at all? I know there was talk about doing it when Kobe passed. Any talk on that at all?
There's no plans right now for the NBA logo to be updated. I know I've heard those conversations externally, not internally, but externally. I've heard those conversations. But as of right now, no, there are no plans. Not saying that in the future it won't ever, but as of right now, no, there's no plans.
Okay. Mr. David Booth, man, second all-time scorer, Manuel DePaul overseas, vice president of basketball operations for the NBA, bro. Like, look, this interview was just to showcase how heavy Peoria is and how heavy we can be in the future. So I appreciate you coming on to Rap Politics. Next time we're going to do it in person, maybe at Madison Square Garden.
I was there last night, baby. You can come.
Maybe at the Staples or something.
Hey, now that's the date right there. We'll do that.
All right, I'm gonna hold you to it. Man. Appreciate you coming on to Rap Politics, bro.
I appreciate you having me, man, and much love, and keep doing your thing, man. I'm proud of you, and I'm happy for you, man, and keep representing Peoria like you are, man. You make everybody proud.
That means a lot, man. I appreciate it. We're gonna keep adding to the city. Hey, David Booth, man, fire. I told you it's gonna be fired. Insight into the NBA, man. Fresh out of Pelicans, but straight out of Peoria, man. Super dope. Appreciate y'all tuning to Rap Politics on today. Look, PJ Star, make sure y'all subscribe. Peoria Journal Star, where you can get all the information, all the latest news, what's going on in Peoria and the greater Peoria area. PJStar.com. Make sure y'all subscribe. Big shout out to Ramondo Dixon. Another big shout out to Tri-County Urban League. We're gonna be back Monday, man. Stay safe. Be cool. I'm out.